Hello and welcome to the Bel-E and Scratch podcast. I'm your host, Bel-E.
And I am your co-host, Scratch.
And today, we have some breaking news for everyone in the chat.
Breaking.
Science has proven without a shadow of a doubt that people die when they are killed.
People die when they're killed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Hell yeah.
Why don't you know this, Mr. ER man?
I don't know, man. I'm just telling you.
You know, you've been alive longer, been doing it for 20 years, and you still don't know this? What the hell?
Alive longer.
Yes.
That's the key thing there. Is that person smarter than you? No, not really. They've just been alive longer.
Yeah, that's... people don't... I mean, I get it, the whole respect your elders, yada, yada, yada. But don't give someone the time of day just because they're like 60 or something, and you're not.
To a point.
To a point.
To a point, yeah.
You know, I mean, you can still learn from a fool.
True.
You know.
It all goes, you know, I'm definitely not doing that, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Even a fool can serve as a bad example, but an example nonetheless.
An example of a course of action you do not want to participate in. Absolutely.
Indeed.
Yes. When you are killed,
you die.
You die. Huh?
Yeah. I believe in the same study, they also discovered that the more birthdays you have, the longer you live. Sounds like a double-blind study there.
That sounds. That's a particular medical condition. It's called TMB.
Yeah.
Too many birthdays.
Oh, so you did know that.
It kills people. It's the number one killer.
Mm-hmm.
Too many birthdays.
Man, I knew setting something on fire, chanting, and then stabbing a knife into it was a bad idea. Contact the Satanic Temple. We got a murder to solve. I seem to be on a roll today.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
But yeah, we just wanted to bring that breaking news to the public.
Yeah.
You know, do our due diligence in spreading the word.
Of course, in case you kids didn't understand the correlation.
Indeed. There's always someone that never understands the correlation.
I mean, correlation does not necessarily equal causation.
No.
However.
No. Ice cream does not cause polio.
No, ice cream does not cause polio.
They taught us that They taught us that in psychology.
Yeah. Yep.
It was there was like an actual case where
yes, there was,
where the increased sale of ice cream also coincided with the increased rate of polio. Now this is like back in like the 1900s to 1930s ish.
Somewhere in that range.
Somewhere in that decade, the 3-decade span ish. So ice cream doesn't cause polio.
Well, the underlying form of it was, polio at that time was
not understood super duper well.
Well, I mean, they understood that the correlation was the fact that the majority of people were diagnosed with polio as a child.
Yeah.
And for some reason...
Children like ice cream.
Children like ice cream.
For some reason. It's weird. I'm glad that went out of fashion.
Absolutely. Because no child today likes ice cream.
No, it's a myth, like unicorns and Eskimos. Oh, I'm in a good mood.
Oh, Eskimos, definitely.
Oh yeah, total myth.
Into it.
Yep. But yeah, it was just Now, granted, back then they didn't have the internet. Oh God, what would have happened if people about 100 years ago had access to the internet? Ugh. I mean, the reason I say that is, now mind you, this is complete satiricalness.
Absolutely.
The musical Reefer Madness.
Uh-huh.
The musical. Based off of the old PSA propaganda film of the same name.
I remember that.
Yeah. The musical is fantastic. It has got to be one of my top 5 favorite musicals. Just, the songs are brilliant. The satire is on point.
Yeah.
It's campy, it's goofy, everyone's having fun. That's just awesome.
Yeah.
And the whole crux of it is it's basically it's a film being shown by Alan Cummings, who's cosplaying as Stephen Colbert, apparently. Because that wasn't subtle enough for me.
No.
So it's basically Alan Cummings' character playing the color version of the film as a propaganda for the parents of this particular high school to warn them away from the electric lettuce.
That's right. The devil's lettuce.
The devil's lettuce. And if that sounds like a bad idea for a story, you haven't seen this yet, because they go full force into it. They do not hold back. But a subject matter of, trying to use a propaganda to warn people away from the devil's lettuce.
I mean, if
you have to go full force into it.
If you want to find an example of a sophisticated effort to condemn or ban a particular choice, why not?
Yeah.
And I find it hilarious.
How so?
Well, I mean,
let me phrase that. What do you find hilarious? The musical, the propaganda, both, or something else?
I find the propaganda. Well, I mean, you got to look at things within the relation. It's once again when we talk about that a lot.
How so?
To look at the past
with the hindsight
of today.
Yeah, don't do. Oh, by the way, don't do that.
Well, I mean, if you do, and it's okay, but just don't get crazy about it.
Well, yeah, that's the other half of the thing is, yes, we look at the past with the hindsight of today. Obviously, you know, anyone who's done a book report in the past, their entire life in school,
sure,
you had to have done it.
Right.
Interpretations of, what do you think the symbolism of this thing in the Song of Roland is? And I'm sitting there in class and I'm like, I don't know, Roland's a freaking idiot. That was my entire essay on that story. My entire essay on the Song of Roland was, Roland is a dumbass and why Stephen King felt the need to portray him as a hero, at least up until the end. I hadn't finished the Dark Tower series. I got stopped.
Oh, well.
Not the same Roland, but definitely some interpretations.
That Dark Tower is a bumpy road.
Yeah, I think I got burnt out after, it was the book where the whole book was just a huge prequel to the entire series, and I'm like, why did you just pump the brakes to tell us a prequel about how Roland almost boned this one chick and did actually do that, and she dies, and now he's a hardened bastard because of it?
Well, he breaks into, and I've said this.
I still haven't finished that series because I'm just like, dude, I'm done.
It is very, it has been my experience, my observation, it's very, it's difficult to mix
fantasy and Western?
Yes.
And sci-fi, too.
Sci-fi and Western.
Firefly. Star Wars, to an extent.
Star Wars has that Western style.
Yeah, it has a Western style. Well, the original trilogy did. The prequels, not really.
I mean,
Mandalorian does.
They've always said... Ooh, excuse me.
Drink some water.
Yeah, no. When I drink water, I will drink water. I'm not drinking
That's not water.
No, it isn't. Maybe 30% water.
Drink some water.
Water.
You thirsty,
2
dehydrated.
hydrogens and 1 oxygen. H2O. No, it's 2 oxygens and 1 hydrogen. It's O2 plus hydrogen.
No, I think it's backwards.
Is it?
I think it's been a hot minute.
It's just been it's difficult to it's difficult to break down science fiction and a Western. It can be done, and when it's done well, it's usually pretty good.
It's actually my favorite genre. I will say this. I personally prefer it to be a sci-fi with Western elements, such as Firefly and The Mandalorian, for example.
Right.
Where it's set in clearly a science fiction universe, but everyone's still using laser pistols and
right. They're not wearing cowboy hats and riding horses, and that's tough. That's a hard transition.
Yeah, I mean, they might have something replacing the horses, like a motorbike or a lizard thing, but same principle. Rather than a Western with sci-fi elements like Cowboys versus Aliens.
And Cowboys versus Aliens was I thought really well done.
Yeah, I didn't think it was terrible, but I just didn't prefer it because of the fact that it's a Western with sci-fi elements as opposed to a sci-fi with Western elements.
I mean, there are attempts in the past, The Adventures of Briscoe County.
That was more Western spy.
It was, but
Same
there was
the
this
old school Wild Wild West, the TV show.
There was there was
Western
this element
spy.
of this Western genre embracing let's try new technology.
New technology. I can accept that. Yeah.
So that kind of worked, but when you get into the whole different universe, so to speak, yeah. Where you're dealing with cowboys and Indians and aliens and spacecraft. That's a big jump.
Yeah, that's a huge jump.
That's a big jump.
I mean, granted, it is a very delicate balancing act to have these two, basically these opposing genres put together. Because Western is rustic.
No, it's not. It's not easy.
Rustic. It's rustic. It's gritty. It's dirty.
Right.
And sci-fi is clean, sleek. It's new.
It's new.
I mean,
that's a good observation. There's sci-fi. There's, as a rule of thumb, there's no dirt.
Not really.
You don't really have to wipe your shoes off before you go into the house.
Yeah, I mean, this is in terms of sci-fi being clean versus dirty. In terms of aesthetic, I believe the two primary examples I can think of off the top of my head is there was a couple times when the old school Star Trek, now mind you, Next Generation probably did this too, but the old school William Shatner era, they did do like a couple of Western episodes. Yeah. Which, by the way, here's a good cosplay for everyone. Now everyone's going to be going to like the Renaissance fairs with the Plague Doctor mask. That's cliche. That's gonna happen.
It's got to be cliche.
Yeah, it's already cliche now.
It's got to be.
How about instead of doing that, we crash the Renaissance Fair dressed as the Enterprise crew?
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Exactly.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Just break protocol, because apparently there is a protocol when you go to Ren fairs and you cosplay. Sure. And I'm like, no.
You know what?
Fuck you.
You know what I want?
What?
I want to be red shirt number 1. Because the first big crowd of people, I'm just going to dive into it and start swinging. If I'm going down,
you're going to be a red shirt.
That's right.
I call dibs on the science officer uniform.
All those Renaissance nerds are going to know exactly what's going on, too. This red shirt's got a death wish.
I call dibs on the science officer.
Oh, yeah.
I figured you would go for, like, the McCoy, or would that be too cliche being the ER nurse?
No, it's not really. It's not, no. I'm just, I like to have fun with people.
Sure.
And I think that would be a tremendous amount of fun.
Yeah, just show up dressed as Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Yeah, show up as a Starfleet troop, people. We got a tricorder.
Exactly. I'm just walking around to groups of people holding up this thing to them, and
just scanning everything.
A little tricorder noise.
Yeah, we got a communicator. That's how we talk to each other.
You know what's so crazy?
What?
I bet you, on a minimum, 25% of those people will get scared as hell if something legitimate was going on.
We have to do it. We got to do it. We got to do it.
Oh, my God.
We got to do that.
The mentality of people today,
They want to believe the fantasy.
They want to believe the comic book version of everything.
So if we were to show up at like a Ren Fair or like a Scottish Games type environment, and we're just moseying on around, like not really talking to a whole lot of people, just got a freaking tricorder and the communicator, and we're just going around being like,
Prime Directive.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I promise you, it would mind fuck a measurable percentage of people in that crowd.
Yes,
absolutely. I'm telling you, some people would start running.
Yeah, there's gonna be we're gonna cause a scene if we do that.
Cause a scene, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
let's
that's
see.
Awful.
Let's see. There's also I haven't seen this movie in like at least a decade.
Yeah.
But as far as like science fiction, where they definitely get gritty with it.
Right.
Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers.
That movie is satirical genius.
Was that one of those Philip K. Dick novels?
I'm not sure. It might be like a comrade of his.
Yeah.
But I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
I remember, and there is a book series, of course. Right. I remember.
Oh yeah, I mean it is completely.
It's satirizing the military-industrial complex.
I mean, is that almost like it's like a.
All right, there's like a bug that refuses to go away. I think it's about to die because it just doesn't move.
All right.
Basically the plot.
Would that be defined as fascism?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I would say yes. I would define it yes. Basically, the plot, at least in the movie. Now, the books, I hadn't read them. I'm getting to it. I have a PDF copy of it, somewhere.
Right,
I gotta read it.
Right.
Starship Troopers, the movie. The plot is it revolves around these three high school friends.
Yeah.
And one of them is selected for like she's the drone pilot, or she's the pilot. The main-ish character, he's mobile infantry because he's just a dumb jock. So, Marines, basically.
Pretty much.
And then there's
Space Marines!
Yeah, don't fuck with the Space Marines. No. I played Warhammer 40K.
Warhammer.
Don't fuck with the Space Marines.
Oh, yeah, you did do Warhammer for a while.
Yeah, at least I tried to, but...
Anyway.
Nerds. Don't get mad at me when I show up with the xenomorphs, okay? They're not called xenomorphs, but they're xenomorphs.
Okay, they're xenomorphs.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's one of those things where it's not this. It's like, instead of calling it, I can't believe it's butter, it's, by golly, it's not margarine. Something like that. But anyway, one guy in Starship Troopers, let's see, mobile infantry, the pilot, chick, and then one of them, he gets recruited for their SciComm division.
Oh, yeah, because he's got some kind of psychic.
Yeah, he's like an Esper or something.
Played by Neil Patrick Harris.
Who was probably like one of the top 3 best actors in the film, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Along with, let's see, Neil Patrick Harris, Clancy Brown is in it. Ironsides is in it.
Yeah. Michael Ironsides.
He was fantastic.
Yeah. It scared the shit out of me when he did Scanners.
Oh,
that is a
David Cronenberg. Hallowed be thy name.
Oh, that's a movie that'll mess your head up.
Yeah, David Cronenberg is
literally.
Yes, literally. Hey, our review for Scanners, it's gonna blow your mind.
Oh, that's not cliche at all.
Uh-huh. Yeah, David Cronenberg is the patron saint of body horror. He may not have started it, but he made it popular.
You want to wash some of that off you before we have a conversation.
Exactly. Nah, I'm fine.
I'm cool, man. Let's roll.
Yeah, what about me?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so, basically the whole point of Starship Troopers is there's like 2 sections of people. There's the civilians, and then there's the There's like the civilians, and then there's the citizens.
Well, I think you have to do military.
Yes, in order to become a citizen.
Including, like there's this interaction between the main character and his parents.
Yes.
Wouldn't his parents have had to have served in the military to be citizens?
I don't remember what the issue was. I don't remember what
the issue was.
It was something like his parents were rich and wealthy, and they were trying to tell his son not to go.
I mean, and that's a standard. I mean, I know there are political figures that that always comes into play.
Yes, of course.
Especially when people are running for president.
Don't remind me.
Yeah, that. There's this whole application, this whole dynamic of military service.
Yes.
Mandatory
or no.
Honestly and truly, Starship Troopers, as far as mandatory military service for citizenship, reminds me of Israel.
But they're not making you fight these man-eating bugs that spit fire and
you
fly.
have to be a citizen in the country of Israel, you have to do 2 years in their military. That's just it.
Okay, I'm not pro or con.
I'm not pro or con that.
It depends on the context.
It's their house.
It's their house.
It's their house. Okay, it's their house, their rules. I get it.
Yes.
Okay, and it's not for me to agree with or disagree with
per se. You could have opinions.
Sure.
But whether or not you are, if you participate in it, that's when the whole thing of, hey, wait a minute, kind of comes into play.
If you grow up in an atmosphere, and I always...
But here's the thing with... The thing with Israel, at least from my perspective, the primary difference between, other than one being a fictional source, whatever.
Sure.
Just get that out of the way, because people get hung up on stuff like that.
Yeah, they do.
Anyway, the primary difference between the culture in Starship Troopers, from what I remember, versus what is going on in Israel and certain other countries that, especially Israel, that basically demand military service for complete citizenship.
Yes.
Is Israel is surrounded by enemies. Completely. One especially, but we're not really gonna talk about that.
No.
But just for a frame of reference.
I'm not going to discuss the pro or con or the right or wrong.
Yeah, so basically...
The simple fact is that there is a piece of ground occupied by a tribe of people that everyone on the outside of their borders...
Yeah, they want a piece of it.
They want the land, and they want those people on that land gone. That's fair.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's
the simplest way to put it.
Justified or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the primary example is both of these require military service to become a full citizen of their nation. However, Israel is surrounded by enemies, so if hypothetically someone decided to invade or shoot at them, the entire nation, with the exception of the young children, of course, can rise up as the army to defend itself.
It's what people don't understand. I mean, yes, we can get into the whole aspect of the whole, one holy book or another stating
this or that,
certain particular protection based on their association to that particular book.
Yeah. Sorry, the bug's still alive. Sure, we could, but
in a crisis situation, that entire country, which I think is around 2 million people,
ish.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Can mobilize within hours.
The entire country. Yeah, it's not like a standing... it's not like a standing army where it's situated at the capital, and then something at the border happens, and they got to move the standing army to the border to defend. That's not going to happen. The entire country, will rise up. There is no movement to the border where the incident occurred. They're already there. Whether you like it or not.
They're already armed. They're already trained.
There's a photo of a woman in a two-piece bikini.
Isn't that the craziest thing?
Assault rifle
she's got
slung across her shoulder.
Off her shoulder.
Yeah.
Mentoring, guiding, protecting like this line of children.
Yeah. And she's in a two-piece bathing suit.
She's in a two-piece bikini.
And she looks good.
Yes, she does.
But it's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's no joke.
And it's probably the wrong name to say if you're going to talk.
Moses.
Like, dear Moses.
Dear Holy Moses.
Holy Moses. Yeah. Not to be insensitive. We may be jerks, but, you know, we'll get some things right. Anyway, hey.
I shunda.
Indeed. Good.
No, but it's just really interesting how, and you see, you know, and that's what I've discovered in my studies.
How so?
That the the version, I can tell you as a citizen of, well, I guess I am, of North America.
One of the North Americas.
One of the North Americas. To be raised in the tradition that explained the application of Moses to modern times. They, American evangelicals, American T-posing religion, they don't really emphasize the military application of Moses.
Yeah, because
if you take a look at, I mean, you have to break out of, I don't know what break out of, but you have to take an objective observation to the story that is taught in North America about Moses, and you have to understand that there's some military applications going on in the book of Exodus.
Yeah,
when he is transitioning this tribe of people
from Egypt to where they need to go.
From Egypt to where they're heading. Because
here's the thing, you know, it's almost like you have to look at it from a historical.
Oh my God!
Yeah, from academic.
Oh, that's terrible. How dare you?
But I mean,
force reality onto my my comic book version of something. Yes,
which is my primary issue with the North American evangelicals.
Because it makes complete sense.
And yet we can't talk about it?
And yeah, you can't talk about it.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
But, I mean, think about it. You know, the whole thing with Moses, like, they got lost in the desert for 40 years. What do you think they were doing?
Yeah.
They just sat in one spot, like, looking at the map and went, I don't know where it's at.
I don't know where to go.
Where's it going?
Go and, you know.
God's misled us. Like, do we take a left at that canyon or right at that bush?
You know, this rock looks familiar. I think
we've been here 3 months ago.
We've been here before.
Yeah, like they weren't just palling around.
Yeah, there's this. I don't care what anybody says.
Not only that,
there is and this is the story of the T. This is the story of the T posing.
Technically, this is the story prequel to the T posing.
There is a practical application to everything.
Yeah, seriously, there is a.
And I'm.
Please don't do it close to the microphone.
Close to the mic. Yeah, trying to kill.
I mean, there is
a gnat in here.
There is like, I don't know. I think it's in somewhere in Deuteronomy or one of the next books over in the Torah. There is a verse that tells you how far away from your camp you need to dig the trench to go to the bathroom.
Right.
Now, what is the spiritual application to that?
Yeah, exactly. What is the spiritual application of that?
I guess the spiritual application is don't crap too close to your camp or
get sick. I can tell you from personal experience,
Yes.
I have heard hundreds, probably thousands of sermons based on those books and that information, and I have never heard anybody talk about how far away from the camp the latrine should be.
Or to not eat things you found dead.
Right.
You gotta hunt and kill it yourself. If you find it dead.
Right. Don't eat things given to idols.
Yeah.
And it is always and honestly and truly that's a very something that is a universal understanding. Okay, and it's always
don't eat something you just found lying on the side of a road.
I mean, there's a spiritual application to it, and I am not dismissing that at all. What I am saying is that basically
this text as warped and abridged as we have it.
Yes.
But it essentially is
it's telling you not to do something dumb.
It's telling you not to do something dumb because if you eat something you found dead, it could already be in the throes of the decomposition process.
Right.
It's not been prepared properly. It could have all sorts of germs and maggots.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want.
I mean, it's like the kosher laws.
Yeah. That's why you can't eat shellfish.
You can't eat shellfish. You don't eat catfish. You don't eat animals
you don't eat
that
bottom
are
feeders.
Bottom feeders, scavengers, that sort of thing. You don't eat anything. There's like the middle of the cow.
Yeah, there's like the middle of the cow forward. You eat.
You eat.
The back end, you don't.
And I mean, if you want to give it some kind of spiritual application, that's your business. Yeah. But I'm telling you, there is a practical application to kosher diet laws. There just is.
So, it's almost like the first, at least at minimum, the first 5 books of the Bible or the Torah. There is a practical application of it because it's their history.
It's their history.
It's their history. It's like when Lewis Black said, "It's not your book."
That's right. You don't understand the book because it's not your book.
Yes. Now, granted, you and I, we try to understand it.
Well, I mean, you know,
at least from an academic point of view.
We talk about, gleaning wisdom from different sources.
Correct. Talk to everyone.
Talk to everyone.
You know, be they Jewish, Buddhist, Hindu,
absolutely,
atheist, agnostic, this political spectrum, that political spectrum. Talk to everyone.
Right.
Everyone has a nugget, at minimum, a little kernel of truth.
Oh, absolutely.
Understanding, and maybe even a good idea.
They might
you glean that from them.
They might have more than that, but that's the minimum.
Yeah, that's the minimum. You might glean something from them and go, huh, I never thought about that. And then you incorporate that into yourself.
It is absolute insecure people that have a tendency to dismiss that sort of thing.
I figured out where that comes from.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Sure.
This is going to be a weird sidetrack, but stick with me.
Ooh.
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Hell yeah.
One of my favorite TV shows growing up. Still is one of my favorite TV shows ever. Not Korra.
TV show.
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Not the movie.
Not the movie. That doesn't exist. I hereby declare Avatar: The Last Airbender, the movie, I declare it to be banished to the Shadow Realm post-haste, and we shall strike it from record, from memory, from our hearts.
Canned.
The Last Airbender movie is canned.
Okay.
Canned. Okay.
All right.
So.
I'm gonna cry.
Save your tears. Don't cry for the stupid. You'll be weeping all day.
That is one of the wisest statements I've ever heard in my life. You will be crying all day if you cry for the stupid.
Yes. Yeah, so save yourself the dehydration and go about your business. Anyway, there is a moment. Now, granted, this was taking place inside the universe of Avatar.
Right.
But the writing of the show is so good, you can apply it to real life, too.
Absolutely.
There is a point where Iroh, the uncle, Mako's character, or Mako, before he died.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's talking to Prince Zuko. This was after Iroh gets shot with lightning by Azula. Fans know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But there is a moment where Iroh is explaining the way to deflect lightning. And he's using this analogy of he physically draws out the elements of the different peoples of the planet.
Right.
You know, the Earth, the people of the Earth Kingdom are strong and grounded because they're of the Earth.
No dirt.
The people of the Fire Nation are powerful and driven because it's fire.
It's fire.
Water is the element of change and healing, because they adapt.
Sure.
Air is the element of freedom. The nomads detach themselves from worldly concerns, from the earth, to obtain spiritual enlightenment and freedom.
Absolutely.
And Zuko asks him, all this stuff sounds like Avatar stuff, because the Avatar is the only person that can do all 4 elements at the same time.
Right.
And Iroh says, learn, if you take your knowledge from one source, you become rigid and stale.
Yeah.
But if you draw your knowledge from other sources,
right.
you become more dynamic.
That is the biggest fault of over specialization.
Exactly.
Because there's always more than one way to look at a situation.
Precisely.
Absolutely.
This is why we talk about. This is why we say speak to everyone.
Right.
This is why we say, don't dismiss someone because of what they are and what they know or don't know. Like we said earlier, even a fool can provide a bad example.
Right. I mean, exactly, a bad example. I mean, you might not find an example of something you want to do, but you will find an example
of what you don't want to do.
What you don't want to do.
Yes.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, everybody brings something to the table.
I think that, for me personally, that moment where Iroh is talking to Zuko about drawing information from different sources, that must have left an impact on me.
Right.
Because, that's how I got that thought process in my head.
Right.
Draw information from different sources.
I mean, there's always a percentage of people that after you hear what they have to add, that you can dismiss, or minimize, or reshape,
or not take into account.
To a point.
Yeah.
To a point.
Yeah.
But you will at least hear them out.
Yes. At least hear them out.
At least hear them out. And there are people in existence today, and it's really unfortunate because they
don't even hear you out.
They won't even hear you out.
No, they don't.
And to me, those are the most dangerous people. Yeah. Yeah.
And this is like across the board.
Yeah.
And both sides of the fence.
Well, I mean,
secular,
obviously,
spiritual,
I mean, obviously,
left, right.
there's some kind of.
There's almost like this overwhelming. I don't want to say spirit, but definitely this presence of. What's the opposite of understanding? I don't want to say ignorance, because ignorance just means you don't know that you don't know.
Yeah, ignorance.
I just mean
unconscious ignorance. You don't know that you don't know.
There's almost this overwhelming presence of active ununderstanding.
Right.
Just being pervasive in many societies across the world.
I think there is,
and it may have always been this way, and we just know about it because of the internet.
I think there is an intentional aspect to it. Mm-hmm. Like a scoffer.
Yeah, it's almost like this pervasive scoffing.
Yeah, and then there is this inactive application to it, where it's so outside someone's norm. But but the whole thing about is it's kind of like a fertile field versus an infertile field. A fertile field, when the seeds are planted, something will grow. Yeah, something. And an infertile field, when anything is planted, nothing will grow.
Yeah, that's the point.
And I guess, and it's a good point to come to try to understand is what exactly determines that that someone's mental capacity or understanding of life will be fertile to accept a possibility.
Yes.
Versus an infertile field where they are totally closed off, and it's a conscious choice.
Yes.
Because I believe that people that make an unconscious choice to ignore certain truthful dynamics, I think if they are genuinely searching for the truth, that when a glimmer of it lands near them, I think they'll pick it up. I think they'll pick it up. They'll embrace it to a certain point. But then there's this aspect of people where it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
They won't. And I don't know exactly, and that's for me
that's something you kind of tangled with most of your life.
Yeah.
How some people just they just don't get it, or they'll never get it.
They don't want to get it,
or they don't want to get it.
I mean, there's well, honestly, not to get all New Testament biblical on people, but there's a particular there's a particular moment where the focus of the T-posing religion, that individual says, "Do not cast pearls before swine."
Yeah.
There is that is an open admission
that some people are not going to get it.
Some people are just not going to get it.
Now, I've heard that. Now, here's the thing. Now, when you and I guess certain other people that believe the same as we do, whatever.
Right,
when we say that, we technically mean do not give help to people who not only will not receive your help,
right,
but will turn on you for just dare suggesting the fact that you are giving
right.
help.
You are literally placing yourself in a dangerous position by
trying to help.
By
them.
trying to help, HELP, help people.
Now,
yes.
Tell me how ucked up that is, listeners.
It's just this element to a human nature that is.
It's weird, and I don't understand it. And I've heard that verse interpreted more delicately, mostly by the prosperity preaching crowd.
True. I mean, and honestly and truly by all of them. I'm pretty hardcore on that particular verse. I think it
because it makes the most amount of sense.
Well, I think it's a very as far as a sentinel event.
Yeah.
I think it is a very transitional moment.
Yeah.
Where people, and what drives me crazy is that people that praise and worship the person that said it don't really engage it.
And that's
they
another
continue.
reason.
I mean, and you've got the person who is the focus of your entire belief system,
and
basically telling you, "Hey, people,
they're not going to get it.
They're not going to get it. Some people are just not going to get it." And the way you determine that is when they turn on you.
Yeah.
Now, it is true, according to their scripture, all things are possible with God.
Yeah. No. All things are possible through
God.
And the reason I say that is because sometimes it's not you that's the guy.
It's not you, no.
They teach lifeguards that sometimes people will struggle so hard that they'll try to take you with them.
Right.
So you have to let them go.
You have to let them go.
If anyone were to find themselves in that type of situation where someone is struggling or they're going to take you under with them in one way, shape, or form, you got to let them go. Meaning,
you gotta let them go.
You're not the guy. Did you get it?
Oh, I got it.
Good. Sorry about that, listeners.
Dead Nat.
Yeah, freaking
GNATT. Dead Nat.
Anyway, so... Yeah, it's not the fact that someone is unsavable, per se. It's just, hey, maybe you're not the guy.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're not the one to...
Yeah, don't get this weird savior complex on.
And also, and yes, the other side of that coin is, yes, there are some people that aren't going to make it.
Yes. Which is unfortunate.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but I mean, I don't know how else. I mean, that is a possibility that you can extrapolate from that particular situation.
But then again, on the other hand,
right?
This is something I've always grappled with, especially when the whole Rainbow Squad, for lack of a better term, were starting to really get revved up and push themselves into the mainstream.
Right.
Like about in 2004-ish?
Definitely in the 1990s.
Definitely in the 1990s. They started to get a big kick into it. Get a good foothold, for better or for worse. I don't care. But there was a lot of backlash from the organized church about, it's like, oh, they're going to hell. Who are you regardless of, yes, no, maybe so, it's not our decision.
Well, ultimately,
does that make sense?
I mean, that's true. I mean, so, you don't have final say.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
There is an element that says that people predisposed to engage in this sort of thing are really decreasing their chances.
Sure, but we don't have final say.
That the whole definition of that line of thinking has, in my opinion, been completely misrepresented.
What do you mean?
In other words, it's kind of like, the whole, I talk about the practical application of the book of Exodus.
Sure.
The book of anything that Moses wrote, the 630, whatever.
Actual commandments.
Commandments, yes.
Which includes not eating dead things on the side of the road.
Which includes not eating dead things on the side of the road.
Yeah, don't be an idiot.
But,
no. What I mean is for the people who they just can't be saved, we don't have final say on where they're ending up.
No.
So, who knows? Maybe in this life, no. Next life, wherever it may lead them, it's not
honestly
our
and truly,
decision.
I know a lot of people of the T-posing religion do not like to. Well, actually, most of them are not aware of what I'm getting ready to say.
Oh God!
And some that are aware,
they don't like it.
They don't like it.
Too bad.
But
because we're sick of you.
Well, I'm just as tired of them as I am the people that disagree with them. They all get on my nerves.
Yeah, everyone gets on our nerves.
Because
we're just trying to get through life.
We're just trying to
Why
get
you
through
gotta
life.
complicate things?
Yeah, just one day at a time.
Yeah. But anyway, you were saying.
No, I mean,
drop this truth.
There is
whatever.
There is this application of life.
Yeah.
It is something that comes under a fierce interaction and discussion in the Church of the T-posing.
Yeah.
But there are people that believe, and I am one of them, that part of certain statements made by the individual who is the focus of the religion of T-posing, there is a significant difference between what is considered the kingdom of heaven.
Yes.
Which is an application related to what we would experience after we leave this living plane.
Yeah.
And then there is the application of the kingdom of heaven on earth. This aspect, these two words, on
Jerusalem,
earth. It's more of a mental state. It's more of a spiritual state than it is a physical location. Okay. You have a tremendous amount of people who are definitely involved in the whole practical application of something like the folks that the religion that you can't draw their guy and they want to go to Mecca. And the religion of T and the religion of T-posing, well, they want to go to Jerusalem.
But there is this certain level of
ritual there is this certain level of practical application of this whole type of spirituality that is what you are seeking is where you are.
Essentially, it's like basically this whole application of like the kingdom of heaven versus in the afterlife.
In the afterlife.
Versus the kingdom of heaven within yourself.
Within yourself.
You basically mean to tell me that people are doing these very peculiar things, going out of their way on pilgrimages and Basically, you're trying to find inner peace, for lack of a better term.
Well, that's part of it, but this is my definition.
Is that part of why people say the body is the temple?
I think you can take that statement and that particular perspective and apply it. Mm-hmm. But basically, what I think it means is there is for lack of a better term, and I'm sure there is a better term. I just, just off the cuff here, what I'm saying is there is a peacefulness that you can achieve as the individual as you are in the physical realm right now. Okay, this whole thing about living your life a certain way, looking at the world a certain way, so you can end up once you die.
Yes.
Okay, and here's the main factor.
Yeah.
Once you die, then you can obtain peace. Well,
why can't we find peace here?
Why can't we find peace
That's
here?
What you're trying to get
That's
at.
what I'm saying. Why can't we find peace here?
It's
why
what
can't
I've been
we
trying
find
to do
peace in this realm? And it all goes back to this whole ignorant, and I'm sorry, this will tick a lot of people off, this whole ignorant application.
Oh, it's not like we haven't done that before.
Yeah, exactly. Get in line. This whole ignorant concept of we can't find peace, we can't be happy until we die and go to the next level.
That's so medieval.
In my opinion, that's garbage.
That is, and here's the thing, that is so medieval. Like
it is.
Like literally.
It's ridiculous.
Before
it is taught from the podium, from the pulpit,
from the political
podium, we can't be happy. That we can't be happy in this current physical realm.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, when you find peace within, or you find basically what these certain commandments is saying, is that the interpretation is saying that you can't find peace until you go to the next physical level, and I just don't believe that. I don't believe that. It plays into that whole thing. We're here by accident.
Yeah.
And I'm fed up with that.
If we weren't meant to leave the garden, we wouldn't have left the garden, you idiot.
If we weren't supposed to be where we are, we wouldn't be here. I think it's a completely and totally misinterpretation of Genesis 1. You name it.
Yeah, Genesis 1, Act 1.
Well, if you live your life a certain way, if you embrace certain things, there are things of light, there are things of dark, there are things of life, L-I-F-E, and there are things of death. And when you embrace these things of life, you are capable of embracing this happiness, this peace of mind that is, in my definition, kingdom of heaven on earth.
Kingdom of heaven inside yourself.
Within yourself. But if you go outside of what these parameters that are being set,
you're not going to be happy.
You are never.
You won't find peace.
You will not find peace in this physical realm. I'm not even trying to address what is going to happen in the next stage of your existence.
No.
I'm talking about right now.
Right here and now.
Right here and now.
Now, here's the thing. You might find a new level of peace in the next life.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
I will say this.
You could come back as a cockroach. Who knows? I don't know.
I will say, the whole karmic cycle. I'm doing research. I've been studying Hinduism, and my brain hurts.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
I need a couple more months of study before I actually get deep into it, talking on this show, but I wouldn't say it's weird. I will say this.
Right.
The reason why it's so complex, especially to outsiders.
Okay.
Think about it. It is probably without going into, I'm not talking about like this one, goddess worshipping sect that is like 30 members 30 members, and it's really small, but that religion is the oldest in the world. No. I don't mean that.
Right.
Without taking into consideration these really tiny sects of like possible paganism or goddess worship or snake worship, which is a very peculiar thing that I'm still looking into.
It's definitely that snake
like why
worship
that
is,
specific animal.
Even Jesus said to be wise as serpents. And there is something more to that statement
there has
than
to
we have been given information on.
Yeah, because, the serpent in the Garden of Eden,
right,
which is probably metaphysical, metaphorical.
There's something else going on.
Something going on with snakes, which is also really weird because if you ever get your hands on snakes, as I have, snakes are dumb.
Yeah.
Which, like the animal, the snake,
right, is
dumb, especially pythons.
Sure.
Like ball pythons, especially, they're freaking dumb. Trust me. I've read a lot about them. I've subscribed to Snake Discovery on YouTube, which is a good channel. Snake Discovery is a good YouTube channel. And if you like reptiles, because of that channel, I now know what a legless lizard is. Guess what? It's not a snake. There's snakes, and then there's legless lizards.
I've heard that.
They look weird, and apparently they're really aggressive.
But do they look like a snake?
No. They have the body of a snake, but their head looks like a lizard.
All right, sure.
I would have to show you later at a different point, not right now.
Absolutely.
But trust me, there is an actual difference. Like, I'm not trying to be this pseudo-scientifical bullshit. No, there is a difference. But, yeah, there has to be more to that phrase, because if you ever handle a snake in real life or seen one be handled, snakes are stupid.
Well, I don't think it necessarily has to do with snakes.
The animal?
Within the animal in which we understand.
But then what is he talking about?
I think the original religion...
Yes.
On this planet that did not involve the stars.
Yeah.
I think had something to do with snake.
But why?
Well,
I mean, we don't have to get into it. Just posing that question, like, why that specific? There's like the stars, the sun, the moon. There's always the presence of like the goddess. I've talked about the show that was one of the earliest religion was the divine feminine versus the divine masculine.
Right.
Cows, and then snakes.
Well, cows are more fertility.
Yeah, but still, they're up there. And then there's a snake, and I'm like, but snakes are stupid. What are you talking about?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think there's a possibility that the perspective of the snake is so old that we really don't have clear access to exactly what it means.
Interesting. But that is a thought process for another day.
For another day. Yeah.
Also, it might lead into a paywall podcast.
Definitely.
Because we have questions, and we might have answers, and we might even have questions for the answers.
Yeah, sooner or later I'm going to get to travel.
Yeah.
And when I do...
how about that?
I'm going over the Atlantic.
Oh, into the holy city?
I don't know exactly where I'm going to end up, but I'm going to end up at some places. I'm going to look at some stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind going back to Europe. I want to go back to Italy.
You had a good time in Italy.
I did have a good time. I didn't die. But anyway. What was I talking about before we got on that subject?
Well, anyway, what I'm saying is that if you engage certain activity, you will not find peace, and you will not find the definition of peace on Earth.
You know what? You're right, but here's the thing. Let's dumb this down even further.
Sure.
Don't do drugs, kids. If you do the drugs and you keep it up, you're gonna suffer for it.
No, I think that's a big part of what's going on today. I think there's a whole lot of people, and I mean like millions and millions of people that are absolutely inflicted because they're taking too much Klonopin and smoking too much weed. They are absolutely out of any realm of reality, and they're living in a.
They're living in a fantasy.
They're living under fantasy.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. On the one side, well, obviously, you have the Gen Z generation, my generation, I think, where we're just coming into the world. We got access to the internet, and now we're starting to reach adulthood and realize that, oh, hey, everything sucks, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better. Well, some people have that perspective. I am in the camp of, for me personally, in terms of the world sucks and it's not going to get any better, I'm in the camp of I don't care.
Well, I mean, I think that's an overblown oversimplification. I think the world is
life is what you make it.
I think life is what life is, and I was told the same thing. You and I have shared music.
Yes.
Let's take. It's interesting the tangents that we go on sometimes.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, how about that?
Probably freaking out people in the other room.
Let's take one of my favorite bands. Let's take Megadeth.
Yeah.
And let's look at.
The crux of Megadeth's discography, it basically revolves around "fuck the government."
Yeah.
Which I respect.
All right.
That's Southern right there.
The pinnacle of that band's musical progression, and popularity took place in the 80s.
Yeah.
Is that a fair characterization?
Yeah, mid-late 80s, early 90s,
give or take.
Before grunge came in and just
and here we are 20 years later.
Yeah.
And the world's still here.
Exactly.
Oh, it's an apocalypse. Oh, we're going to die. Oh, it's
I'll believe it when I see it.
Exactly. And here we are, still.
Yes.
In the same issue. You need to the thing about growing older as myself.
Yes.
And gaining, it's not easy looking like Santa Claus, but it can be done.
Yeah, if you didn't have the white hair or the gray beard, you could pass for early 40s.
Absolutely, but the thing about it is I've lived long enough to look back on from then till now, and to say that all this stuff that when I was your age, and younger, I was like, oh, the world's gonna end. Oh, we got all this trouble. Oh, this is this, and this is that, and the exact same problems, dynamic wise, still exist. So, to a point, there is an argument that could be made that it's not necessarily a problem per se, that is more just a reality of the situation in which we live.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm down for that. Hence why I'm in the camp of I don't care.
Yeah.
I scroll through social media and through YouTube.
Just think,
TikTok.
and I used to be one of those people that lived my entire life based on this, because I was raised on apocalyptic dogma.
Not your dad.
No, not my dad.
I was about to say, I don't remember you telling me. I don't remember you telling me that he was a brimstone preacher.
He didn't. No, he didn't embrace it to that point.
Not to that point.
But I was living in a community.
Oh yeah, that's right.
A social subculture of people that genuinely embraced that ideal. How about that? Is that fair? Yeah.
And it made them worry and scared.
And it made them worry and scared.
And hey, guess what?
Putting aspects of their life on hold.
And guess what? Just because they were in the religion of T-posing, because they had that spirit of fear and anxiety in them, that's not finding the kingdom of heaven inside yourself either. So,
no, it's not.
So even if you were in the religion of T or the religion of T-posing, you can still have this complete element of discord.
I mean, even people that don't embrace those belief systems, they're still all wound up.
Exactly.
Thinking everything's about to end, and we're at the end of the
We are not at the end of the rope.
We're not.
Or if we're
KNOT, not.
Dude, shut up. Or if hypothetically we were at the end of the rope, guess what? We're not going to know until it finally snaps on us.
Well, what I'm saying to people
hopefully it's quick and painless.
If in reality, if in reality we are at the end of the rope versus the high probability that we are not.
But if we were at the end of the rope,
whether you got a choice.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Yeah. That's the thing.
Once again, kingdom of heaven on earth. Live your life. Live your life. Please, for the love of whatever you pray to, please read. Please study the Sermon on the Mount.
If any.
Where the individual who is the focus of the religion of T-posing is basically saying, calm down. Everything's going to be okay.
The lilies in the field get clothed. The birds in the sky find food.
Find food. Everything.
You're going to be fine.
You're going to be fine. And I think and honestly and truly, I think that is the crux of what is causing the discord to this day between.
Is people haven't. They still don't know that it's going to be fine.
It's going to be fine. It's going to be okay.
Just go about your way.
Just live your life.
Live. Yes.
Just live.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do think, now mind you, I don't want to get into it too much right now, because I'd like to detract on something a little bit more lighthearted before I have to head out the door to go play my insane warlock.
Yes.
The last point before I want to transition to something semi-lighthearted is I do think that there are intentional steps being made by the powers that be to perpetuate that mentality of we're all going to die.
Oh, yeah.
Of fear and anxiety and, stagnation.
It's like watching the weather.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, there's a storm coming in and there's going to be thunder and light.
Yeah, and then the storm eventually is going to leave.
And then the storm's going to leave.
Yeah, storms don't exist perpetually.
And there is no storm now that has not happened before.
It's going to happen again.
It's going to happen again.
But that's the thing. It will leave. It eventually has to, because that's the nature of storms. That's the nature of the seasons.
Absolutely.
It's not going to stay.
No, it's not going to stay. And
people just hunker down.
Just
grab your head, hunker down.
Yeah, you're not
wait
evil.
Wait for it to blow over. It's not selfish.
We're not going to die.
No, we're not going to die. We're not evil.
Yeah, it's just the nature of anything.
Yeah, just hunker down, put your head between your legs, hold on. And then wait. For the storm and the wind and the lightning to pass. However, whatever form that takes for you, individually speaking.
Yeah.
And once that's gone, hey, guess what? Stand right back up and go back to whatever you were doing.
Yeah.
Or go do something cool.
The saddest thing are the people that don't.
They don't get up.
They don't get up.
No.
No, they stay in hiding.
Yeah, it's why you and I are taking steps to where. Well, it's not that we're hiding. It's just we don't have anything better to do. What the hell is that? Oh.
Oh yeah.
Hey. Guard dog. You want me to check on that, or?
No, he ain't gonna hurt nobody.
No.
He's just annoyed.
Yeah, he's annoyed. Because there are people in the house.
Yeah.
He's a good boy.
My whole thing is, I just feel bad, because, I used to be in that mindset.
Yeah.
Where I literally was shutting down my entire future based on this
saw everything as pointless?
This pointless apocalyptic scenario that never arrived.
Yeah, that's basically.
And even if it is true,
sure,
and it did arrive or is coming,
what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Just do.
Just go and live.
Go.
Just go and live your life.
Just live.
Just live.
That's it. There you go.
That's it.
End story. Just live.
Just live. There you go.
Do something. All right. I got about 30 minutes before I got to get ready and head out because insane warlock time.
Woo!
I never intended to play the insane warlock in my D&D campaign.
Technically, aren't they all insane?
Not necessarily.
Really?
So I'm keeping my ear out because that dog. Anyway.
The insane warlock.
Yeah, not always. I mean, the thing with D&D and role-playing is you can do whatever you want with your characters.
True.
For the most part,
Hell yeah.
I gotta get you in a D&D campaign. You'll love it.
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know.
No.
Honestly,
this is happening.
I don't know. See, I agree with you to a point, but I don't know if I'm a nut. I don't know if I'm... I think I might be too much of an asshole to deal with these people.
No, you're not.
Because...
No. You don't understand.
Can I contain taking pot shots at these people? I mean, I just...
Here's the thing. I played campaigns with different people. I'm no expert, but I played very good campaigns with very good players, and I played bad campaigns with very bad. You wouldn't even scratch the surface of how shitty some players can be.
Well, I have a tendency to...
be sarcastic?
Well, just to tick enough people off that the entire group will turn on me.
Oh, no. Here's the thing. Here is the thing. Too long.
Because I don't have to find peace.
Sure.
I don't have to be aligned with anyone.
Yeah, you do.
So I just go.
You're going to be aligned, but not with people. I've lived there. They all just gang up on me, and I'm like, no. Here's the thing. Unless you go full murder hobo, you're fine. Okay. You should be fine. Because here's the thing. In my opinion, if I had the ability to change one thing, I feel like it should be a requirement of all colleges across the universe that teach psychology and sociology.
Right.
They need to be their final project before they become doctorates. Let's just say a PhD.
Sure.
For psychologies and sociologies and things offshoots of that, basically studying of groups and of the mind.
There has to be value in it somewhere.
Before you become a PhD expert in these fields, you got to do, obviously the years of study and research.
Yeah.
You got to do your dissertation.
Yeah.
And you got to participate in a D&D campaign.
Really?
D&D, yes, there's math. Yes, there's spell casting. Yes, there's funny-looking dice. Yes, there are nerds. But guess what? D&D has the minorly, maybe good, maybe bad, probably more bad. It has the side effect of essentially stripping away people and, stripping away the outer layers, the masking layers, and it kind of reveals who they are under the surface.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. I hadn't thought about that.
It's basically this big psychodrama to, in a way, it uncovers who they are on the inside.
Because
you're given different situations, and how would you handle it?
Yeah, but you're also given the ability to gain or dismiss characteristics.
Precisely. Yes.
And based on what you would choose to keep versus what you would choose to get rid of.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
fair. I get that.
Yeah. And let's be honest, most characters people play are self-inserts anyway. So based on that principle, how you behave in D&D can actually reflect who you are on the inside, whether you're a good person or a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Or even if you're just deeply disturbed.
Well, I mean, it depends. I guess it would depend on what your motive is. Are you just interested in winning, or are you just interested
It depends.
In flushing your adversaries?
I have one of the worst players I ever played with. I have not DM'd yet. Maybe one day, but not today.
Right.
I've been a player. One of the people I used to play with in high school, he had to have had issues.
Well, I'm sure.
Because here's the thing.
Yeah.
He always always played characters who were just these dysfunctional, just deviants. And I don't mean like the real rock and rollers type of deviant.
Right.
I mean the type of deviants that get put on a list deviants.
Right.
And he would have it occur in the campaign.
Then I guess was the motive, was that actually him, or was he just trying to be unsettling?
Maybe both.
There's a bunch of people that do that.
Well, here's the thing. There's a difference between, doing something to provoke a reaction out of people.
Right.
Which is kind of what I'm doing.
Right.
Except I'm not having my character go around and, be inappropriate with other people.
Well, I mean, there's a more intellectual application to your character.
Yes. Actually, there really isn't, per se.
And if you have the capacity to understand what's going on, you can create that type of character.
Yeah, exactly.
But if your application is very base human.
Yes. Subhuman to an extent. Then, no.
Yeah, those were those types of problems, right?
Yeah, my character right now, for example, the kind of the backstory for my warlock character that I'm playing right now is she doesn't know that she's a warlock. Because typically, the stereotype with warlocks is, they summon the devil or something, and then they sell their soul for power, for magic.
Whatever.
And they make a pact with something.
Something.
Yeah. Now, it's not always a devil. It could be, like a fairy, like Titania. Like of the Feywild.
Some type of ethereal being.
An ethereal being, a celestial, a great old one. Like, you could sell your soul to Cthulhu.
Why not?
Yeah, there's like the Warlock of the Undying, where you sell your soul to a skull, but I was like, technically it doesn't say in the rule book.
Right.
It doesn't say you sell your soul. It just says you make a deal. You cut a deal. That doesn't always involve a transaction of your soul.
No.
It might just mean you and they're called patrons, the person the being that gives your character their power as a warlock. You basically say to your patron, hey, you want this rock? And you can't seem to get it? You give me magical powers, I'll get you your rock.
Okay.
That's a deal. That's a pact.
Sure.
And the patron's like, yeah, I want that rock. Here, have the Eldritch Blast, and here's a familiar. Now, please get me my rock.
Yeah. Sure.
And I played around with it, and I came up with the idea of, what if I have a warlock that doesn't know they're a warlock? Because whatever deal, whatever pact was made with their patron happened when they were a child, and they would have no recollection of any deal being made. They just think they found this rock in the river.
Or they don't understand the ramifications.
Or they don't understand the ramifications of it. Now, I did not intend...
Which technically does make you innocent.
Yes.
Yes.
I basically told my DM, like, I would want my character to be, like, 4, 5, 6. They find someone on the side of the road who's, like, kind of run down and beat, and they give this person a sandwich or something. Like, give them food and water. And this person is actually a powerful, magical being.
Right.
And they go, hey, that's a damn good sandwich. I'm going to give you magical powers just for the fun of it.
They go,
yeah.
No one else would help me, but you did.
Yeah. So here's something.
Here's something.
Yeah, that was my intention with the character, and that is what happened essentially.
That's a biblical example, the Good Samaritan.
Exactly. So my character essentially they got their powers by being a good Samaritan to their patron.
Right.
But the reason why the character is quote unquote insane. I don't play it as insane. I don't play the character as insane as in murderous.
Right.
Because madness takes all different forms.
It does.
I play the character as they got their powers when they were a child from a Fey patron. And those of you who know what that means, you understand Fey.
I don't.
A fairy. Fairy is usually more lighthearted, and that's crazy, you know?
Sure.
Because there's, like, your fiend patron, which is, like, the demon or the devil.
Right.
Which is more sinister, more like collecting souls. Fae patrons are like, I want a piece of the moon. How am I going to get to the moon? I want a piece of the moon! And then you get him a piece of the moon. And then the Fae is like, okay, next, I want you to blow up the ocean. That type of stuff.
Sure.
It depends on how the DM plays it, but my character, apparently, because they got involved with, the Fae as a child, never really mentally grew past a certain level in adolescence.
Yeah.
I'm kind of playing this as, the doctor is, like, really smart.
Right.
But can be very immature and childlike.
Right.
It's like that, but with more of an element to randomness to it, because I'm literally rolling dice to see what the next thing for my character to do is going to happen.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, I don't mean insane as in, like, ooh, I'm going to kill everyone in this room. No. I just mean in terms of, I roll a d6. If it's a high number, I'm just going to do something random, like make the room turn red.
Sure.
For no reason.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to cast, like a cantrip on someone to make their voice amplified 10 times what they should be talking, so it sounds like they have the voice of God whenever they speak.
Right.
And if it's a low number, I don't do anything.
Sure. Because
it keeps the players on their toes. The DM also decided it was a good idea to give my character something, which, yes, it's a homebrew, but I like it, and he liked it too. He gave my character the grenade of many things.
Sure.
It is probably one of the most broken things in the universe. It's like you throw a grenade, and based on a D10, a 10-sided dice, depends on what comes out when the grenade goes off.
Okay.
It could be a fireball. You could summon 3 bears in top hats. You could summon a piñata. You could summon more grenades of many things.
Sure.
Just because that's my character. My character is randomness and childlike wonder encapsulated. I actually do have a rod of wonder, which is, again, you cast it, and based on a 10-sided a percentage die, it depends on something different.
Sure.
So that's my quote-unquote insane warlock, because I had to take over because the other warlock dropped out of the game, and it's like, well, now what am I going to do? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Now I'm covering double warlock duty.
Double duty.
Yeah, double duty, because this asshat decided to drop out of the game.
Punk.
Yeah, punk.
Anyway.
So, what I would recommend for you,
me,
pointing at you, Scratch, there is a YouTube...
I don't know.
Well, there is a YouTube channel, and I would recommend this for anybody just starting.
Yeah.
There's a YouTube channel called Tulok the Barbarian. He takes like characters from media, and translates them into D&D. Like, basically, if you were to play out this character in D&D, what would their character sheet look like?
All right.
Stat build, a character build.
Right.
I would recommend that for you. And he's got things like how to play Legolas in D&D, how to play Doc Ock, Dr. Octopus, Captain America, Cyclops.
Is he paying his rent?
He seems to be.
No.
Man. Let's see. Yoshi, Davy Jones, Swamp Thing.
What?
Swamp Thing in Dungeons and Dragons. How to play the Green Goblin in D&D. Frodo, Gambit, Catwoman, the Grinch, John McClane, and the list goes on.
Okay.
How to play these characters in D&D. I always tell people, go to this channel, find a character that you like say John McClane, for example. You like Die Hard.
Yeah.
So just play John McClane. You don't have to call him John McClane. In D&D. Yeah. You just take the character sheet that he makes.
Right.
And you just play that. You know, like it starts out, John McClane, he's a rogue fighter hybrid, if I remember correctly.
I don't even know where I would start.
Oh, it's not hard.
Sure.
So, I would also never recommend anyone just starting out to be a spellcasting class, because that's like another element that you don't need to get involved in. You just stick with stabbing things.
Okay.
That's very basic.
I have a sharp stick.
Yes. And if you're John McClane, you're also a rogue.
At least.
Yes. Anyway. So, that is my plan for the evening.
Yes. Donna.
I think he has one for the Pink Panther, too.
All right.
I think.
You mess with my head now.
I'm sorry. All right. Well, I gotta get ready for the campaign.
Yeah.
So.
Dumb.
All right. Well, that's it, folks. I was your host, Bel-E.
And I was your co-host, Mr. Scratch.
And we'll see you guys next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Bye.
Goodbye.